Hey everyone, this is Tell the Truth Radio, and this is the NFL recap show where I recap what's going on in the NFL the day before Thanksgiving. And you can watch this on YouTube on Thanksgiving before the Detroit Texan game and then the Dallas Washington game. The Pittsburgh Steelers Baltimore game has been postponed because of the Baltimore players who contacted the coronavirus. As a Steel fan, I was looking forward to seeing the rematch to see what was going to happen, but they're going to play Sunday at 1:15. So I'm going to go over the last week's games and the big games, and I'm going to go over the standings, and I'm going to give teams grades like I normally do. The first big game was the Raiders and Chiefs, and I thought that the Raiders had an opportunity to really win the game at the end of the half when Nelson Aguilar dropped a third down pass that would have kept the drive alive, that would have gave the Raiders at least a 6-point lead, if not a 10-point lead. And there was a point you don't get and you don't ever see, and you don't ever beat the Chiefs that way. You got no chance of beating the Chiefs if you have receivers dropping third down passes. He dropped 2 third down passes. I understand he's having a good year, but when he was on the Eagles, he had a problem with drops. And that's a problem. So it's something that you have to take a look at. And the Raiders, they didn't score too soon. It was just that when you don't get those points at the end of the half, you're playing close to the vest with the Chiefs. And they did. And they scored with 1:43 left. And the Chiefs gave Mahomes a minute 43 and a timeout. So I was thinking, I know they're going to score, but is the Raiders going to have enough time when they do score? And the Chiefs methodically drove down the field to the point where once they scored, the Raiders didn't have a prayer. And Mahomes threw a 22-yard touchdown pass to Travis Kelce. What it was just a 15-yard gain, 16-yard gain. They were slowly chewing up yards, taking their time, knowing that this is what Mahomes does. Now, what I saw out of this game, though, is the fact that the Kansas City Chiefs defense is putrid. And they said, well, they haven't peaked yet. That defense is not peaking. It is what it is. The offense is going to be great. Mahomes is going to give you his usual great 200 to 300-yard game, 4 touchdown passes. You know the deal with the dude. He had, 2 touchdown passes, 34-45, 102 passer rating. And he could even be better. But Hilaire makes this offense go. The fact that they can run Hilaire in between the tackles outside, and then that allows them to – and Le'Veon Bell will give them a spell. He's good off the bench. But it allows Kelce and Hill and Robinson and Hardman to – they could run all their exotic stuff, especially at the goal line. They love to get creative. I saw one play where Kelce catches the ball in the shotgun and tries to pass the ball, tries to do a flick to Tyreek Hill. So they're super, that Andy Reid and Bieniemy are super creative, but a lot of it is predicated on the run game, allowing their running backs to get 2 and 3 yards, 10 yards, because now your defense has to come up. And now you're in the hitting zone. If the Kansas City Chiefs were heavyweight, you're in their hitting zone once that happens. You have to stop the run first, believe it or not. And then you're going to have to score a lot of points, because if you get a good pass rush on Mahomes, he has the ability, and not too many people could do it, on the run where you think he's going to throw the ball out of bounds, he's able to throw an accurate throw 15, 16 yards down the field, because Kelce and Tyreek Hill are trained to put together the scramble drill. So they'll run their route, and then they're covered. But Mahomes is now scrambling. They know that they got to follow where Mahomes is going to go, and they're going to sprint to an open spot, and Mahomes is going to usually find him. He's very difficult to sack. The only way you can beat them is scoring that defense, because you can run a little bit and you can really pass on them. Because Derek Carr, who's coming in his own, coming on strong, Derek Carr lit him up. And Derek Carr played efficient an efficient and a very smart game. It was heady. The headiest quarterbacks are the best quarterbacks. And they could tell he had 119 passer rating. He was 23 of 31 for 275 and 3 touchdowns. And it was smart. And if it wasn't for the third down drops, it'd have been even bigger and they'd have won the game. And he really torched the Kansas City defense. You're going to have to light Kansas City's defense up, and it might not still be enough. You're going to have to hope for maybe a lucky interception from Mahomes, and you're going to have to strip the receiver. You're going to need some breaks to beat the Chiefs, but it's a path to beat them with how bad their defense is. Their defense hasn't been great all year. So when you hear the pundits on TV talking about their peaking, they're not going to peak. Their defense is not. Their defense, they have a pretty good pass rush. You know, the Honey Badger's good on the back end, but no. And then the Rams beat the Buccaneers 27-24, and it was 24-17. Rams really were their own worst enemy. They weren't moving the ball. They ran some dumb plays, but Brady threw some bad picks, and he doesn't have the arm strength. And the Buccaneers should have lost to the Giants. So they're kind of sputtering right now. And the Titans and Ravens, it was all about 21-10 lead. The Ravens had the ball. Jackson throws a pick. And then the Titans score. And then they score again to take the 24-21 lead with, of course, everybody talks about A.J. Brown's when he runs over and 5 guys at the 5-yard line, takes 5 Ravens into the end zone, and then Travis Henry's walk-off touchdown. They were more physical, and they beat up the Ravens. And the Ravens get a break by the game being a couple of days more to give them a rest, because now they're playing on a Sunday instead of a Thursday, where they would have been a little beat up and they were missing some running backs. So they might get J.K. Dobbins back, who's a big part of their offense in passing and running. And the Colts and the Packers. This is why I tell you about the Packers being soft. It's 31-28, and after the Colts goofed up and committed a bunch of stupid holding penalties, Packers get the ball back and they're driving and they couldn't get the ball in the end zone. And you look at the Chiefs, they had the same opportunity and the Chiefs got the ball in the end zone, still selling for a field goal. But they sell for a field goal and then Colts beat them after a bad turnover by the Packers. And the Cowboys I was impressed with the 31-28 win. Of course, CeeDee Lamb was great with a great catch, but they finished. A 13-play drive to end the game-winning touchdown after a 4th down play catch by Cooper from Dalton. This is how Dallas needs to win. Your Ezekiel Elliott, 103 yards, Tony Pollard, 60 yards, so they're running the ball, and Dalton's efficient. And their defense is playing a lot better. A lot better. Aldon Smith was good. And they were good, man. Dallas is solid. In the back end, they were solid. And Van Der Esch is back there playing. So Dallas is coming on strong. If you look at the divisions right now, you look at the standings in the AFC, Buffalo and Miami are going to battle it out. Miami had a bad loss versus Denver. They have to decide with Tua and Fitzpatrick. That's kind of a mess. They're going to have to play Tua the rest of the year. You know what Miami's doing? Miami is playing this game, and their coaching staff and their general manager and the owner are saying, listen, we're going to put Tua out there. You're going to sink or swim. And if we don't see what we want to see out of Tua, we're going to use all these draft picks. They have a ton of first-round draft picks. We could parlay that into getting Zach Wilson of BYU, who's a stud, who's almost as good as Trevor Lawrence, or Fields from Ohio State, who didn't really have a good game this week. But, you got Trash from Florida. So there's a lot of good quarterbacks out there. So I think what the Dolphins are doing is, okay, Tua, it's a shame he's a rookie, but we're going to audition you to see if we like you. If we like you, we'll keep you. If we don't, we're going to get another quarterback. You'll either have to compete or you won't be here, because they have that much leverage because of all the draft picks that they traded for. And Miami's in a good spot for years to come. But it may come down to Buffalo, Miami. It may. Kansas City by beating Vegas. If Vegas would have won, they'd have been 7-3, and Kansas City would have been a game behind with Vegas with the 2 wins. So if the season would have ended at a tie, that Vegas could have won the division. So that's a huge win for Kansas City, and they keep pace with Pittsburgh and Cleveland 7-3. Now they're a threat. Baltimore 6-4 and sputtering a little bit. Indianapolis and Tennessee had 2 big wins, 2 character wins, and Tennessee was scuffling, and it looked like they got back to their playing big. It's almost like having 2 in the NBA, having 2 centers on the court with AJ Brown and Henry, and they just pound you, and then they can play action. They're going to be a pain in the neck. I'll tell you right now, as a Steeler fan, I don't want to see Oakland because of how physical they can play with Waller at tight end and Ruggs. Aguilar, he might hurt the Raiders with his drops. You don't want to be in a game in the playoffs and you're driving for a game-winning score and he drops the ball and your season's over. That would make me nervous about the Raiders, but they're physical. They had 11 guys on the COVID list playing the Chiefs, so they were missing guys. Their style, they run hard. Their offensive line is very good. And they're going to be a tough out. I'd rather the Raiders be on the Chiefs bracket than on my guys' bracket, which is Pittsburgh. Tennessee's going to be a tough out, but if they could keep their style, that's a good style when it comes to the playoffs, if they get a pass rush. I don't know about Baltimore because you got some disgruntled players. Jackson's wondering about the offense. Hollywood Brown is just like his cousin, Antonio Brown, so that's kind of a mess. When it comes to the NFC, it's going to come down to the Rams in Seattle playing. They got a game in Seattle. The Rams have a tougher schedule. Seattle has the easier schedule. They got the Jets. Giants are not going to be that easy, but they're at Seattle. In Arizona, Rams have Arizona twice. And Seattle has I don't believe they have Arizona. They have Arizona one more time. Green Bay is going to win that division because the Bears aren't any good. The Vikings blew a golden opportunity last Sunday. Saints are going to win that division, even with Taysom Hill. And Taysom Hill was playing well, so he's efficient enough. Do you have Jameis as a backup? So that should be okay until if Drew Brees comes back. 11 crack ribs with his age, I'm not sure. But if he comes back, the Saints are definitely a contender for the Super Bowl. What I love about the Rams? Their secondary. They got the 2 best corners in the league, best tandem. And Jalen Ramsey was all over Evans. I didn't know if anybody can cover Evans. He was all over Evans, so he took that option away from Tom Brady. And it is the system. The Rams lose players, but they keep McVay's system, and they're, as long as they Goff could stay on schedule and play action, and they do a counter play action where you fake the handoff to the running back. The offensive lines flow toward the running back. The quarterback goes the opposite direction. A receiver who's supposed to get open goes the opposite direction. And that's their staple play. The Rams love to run that play. And that play was working against Tampa. That is when the Rams are cooking, they're on schedule. But Goff, if he gets a little off schedule, it's like a computer. It gets like a malfunction. So look out for that whenever they play Seattle again. And as far as the NFC East, Dallas has the most talent. At 3-7, they're only half a game. The Eagles, I could see the Eagles losing every single game the rest of the year. They are a complete mess. Wentz is a mess. The fans are mad. Peterson's been incompetent this year. He's a pretty good coach, but he's incompetent this year. Going for 2 when he's not supposed to. The Cincinnati tie was a debacle. So they're a mess. I like Dallas. The Giants are going to win. Giants and Dallas, I think, are going to start to separate themselves. They're going to win a few games. And then the end of the year is going to be a Giants Stadium, MetLife Stadium, Cowboys and Giants. probably NBC Sunday game, regardless of the record. That's going to be the game that pulls in the audience. Now I'm going to give out the grades. Well, there's my A-plus team. That would be the Saints, and there's Pittsburgh Steelers, and the Kansas City Chiefs. Those are my 3 top-tier teams. But can Drew Brees stay healthy? That is the biggest part of the equation. Can he stay healthy? Now, I give out a B+ to the teams that are almost at the A level, and they need to go up a notch to be the A level, be a Super Bowl contender. And that's the Rams, who are I got them as a potential Super Bowl contender. Indy's not quite ready, but Indy's could upset a team because of how physical they play, and they got some of the best linebacking play in the league, and their linebackers are superior. Their front 7 is superior. Their offensive line is solid. The Rivers scares me. He can be great and terrible at his older age. Buffalo, solid. Tennessee, I got back up in the B+ area. I'm putting Green Bay in the B+ area only because of their record. I don't trust them. The B team is Raiders. And I'm going to put Cleveland up there because they did beat the Eagles, not because of Baker Mayfield, because of their Chubb and Hunt running downhill, their offensive line, and their defense was solid. The B- teams who are playoff teams that are scuffling are Miami, Baltimore, Arizona, and Tampa. Tampa's secondary is not playing well. Like, people talking about Brady, well, it does look – he's older. He's 43. So he's going to have games where that ball is not going to come out crisp. He's going to have really good games. This is just the way it is when you're older. That's not the problem. The one thing I don't like about the Tampa Bay is Brady went Antonio Brown crazy. Antonio Brown. Even if he's not open, Antonio Brown. You got Evans, you got Gronk. That could be a problem down the line with his teammates. All right, we're back here. Tell the Truth Sports Radio. I'm going to tell you the truth about the college landscape. Okay, the top 4 teams were announced. You had Alabama at number 1, Notre Dame at number 2, Clemson at number 3, and Ohio State at number 4. All right, let me break this down to you now. Notre Dame was not the number 2 team in the country. But what they did do, they beat Clemson without Trevor Lawrence, but they did beat them head-to-head. And Ohio State struggled against a really good Indiana team. So you have those 4, but I'm looking at from 5 to 9, and there's an opportunity. I'm also talking about the number 14 team, which intrigues me. And number 15. I'll do it that way. But I'll go 5 to 9 because they're the most impactful team. Forget 10, 11, and unfortunately 12 because they're just not going to be relevant when it comes to competing for the top 4 spots. Texas A&M has a chance. There is a path. If Alabama runs the table and whoops up on Florida and Notre Dame gets beat up by Clemson, you could get Ohio State, A&M, Clemson, and Alabama. That's their path. Florida's path is run the table and beat Alabama, you get in. Or Notre Dame loses and you play Alabama close and A&M loses to a team, you get in. Cincinnati's path, there's got to be so many. Alabama's got to lose. Notre Dame's got to lose. Ohio State's got to lose to Northwestern. There's so many different things that's going to happen. Northwestern has a clear path in Cincinnati because Northwestern runs the table and they beat Ohio State, they're in. There's your Big Ten team. There's your Power 5 conference team, Big Ten. Georgia could get in if Florida slips up and they get into the finals and they beat Alabama, which is a long shot. They're not beating. I look at Georgia's offense like we're there. Alabama will whoop them again. There won't be no letdown. Alabama, is ruthless. Like Clemson will let you in games and then they'll whoop you because they both have pretty much the same 5-star talent. But Alabama is ruthless, and my prayers are for Nick Saban because he got the coronavirus again. It's a mild version, so he's probably not going to coach Auburn. They're going to whoop Auburn. They kind of goofed that game up last year in Auburn, and I love Matt Lowe, and I admire Alabama and Auburn because I'm a Rutgers grad, so I don't have no dog in the fight, but I just think Alabama's going to tear them to shreds. They're going to be motivated. Indiana is not going to make it, but I'm very impressed. Indiana's program is set up well. You know, I was very, 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 very impressed with Indiana and how they played. And they didn't run the ball against Ohio State. And they were down 27 and made a comeback and almost came all the way back. And Michael Penix is a sophomore. And he's playing very, very well. Very well. You know, against Ohio State, he was 27-51, 491 yards passing, 5 touchdowns, 1 interception. Are you kidding me? At Ohio State. And usually Ohio State gets 27 leads. They just end up killing teams. They score a lot of points at home, and Indiana went toe-to-toe with them. Indiana will be a difficult team to play when they get in the bowl. My 2 teams that are 14 and 15 that have an outside shot, and even 18, Oregon and USC have outside shots. When they play each other in the Pac-12 championship and both of them are undefeated, and you have Ohio State lose to maybe Northwestern or Notre Dame is the key. If Notre Dame loses to North Carolina and then Clemson destroys them, there's a spot open. Now, do you take a Texas A&M? Or do you take an undefeated Texas A&M, which got blown out by Alabama, was the only loss? Or do you take an undefeated Pac-12 team that didn't have as many games? That is going to be the question. That's their outside shot. BYU doesn't have a shot at making it, but they're 9-0, and I'm going to give them love all year long. They have an all-world quarterback. They got a nice team. They're not going to make it, but I would like to see them in a bowl game playing a Power 5 team, or maybe a Cincinnati, or maybe a Texas A&M if they don't make it, because I want to see how good they really are. I want to see how good Wilson really is. I want to see Cincinnati play a Power 5 team if they're going defeated. I want to see how good they are, even if they don't make it. So this weekend is big, but the next coming weeks are going to be big. It's going to be interesting to see. After each Tuesday, the announcement of the top 4 teams. And then it gives me a better view of who has a better chance of getting in. But that's my take on college football.